Our special day of tiebreakers continues. Now we have decided all the teams that are going into the postseason. We have to figure out the actual seeding of the teams coming in here. I'm Clement, and with me is the ever so fabulous Nightstar. Before we go into a little bit more about the tiebreaker scenarios, we are going to talk about our sponsors. Thank you very much to CTBC Bank, China Airlines, Chunghwa Telecom, and Caliber for sponsoring this league and making everything we do possible. So now going on into the second tiebreaker, we have J-Team versus Boom Esports playing for 4th place. Now, it doesn't really matter in terms of the position they will be in the bracket, but it does matter for side selection, as these two teams will still be facing up against each other going forward.
Yeah, there's going to be some, small differences here, as they're going to be playing, as you mentioned, for side selection, at least for the first game, and after that, I would assume loser goes ahead and chooses. So it really just comes down to that first game, how to set the tempo to a series, and especially when these series in playoffs, like the first game matters a lot. How you come out the gates does indeed make a statement of how the rest of the series will go, and I expect these teams to not necessarily play around, but also because, again, you are playing very soon, very soon, they're not going to show necessarily any hitting cards that they do have planned.
And frankly, J-Team probably don't need to show too many cards. Their average series game time against Boom Esports was 27 minutes, and frankly, J-Team has the most dominating record against Boom Esports out of any of the top teams in the playoffs. So if you're just looking at the regular season, you think that J-Team, with their aggressiveness in the early game, with the fact that Mission has a lot more tempo champions in the LeBlanc, maybe they can just run over Boom Esports once again. But we're going to take a look at the other roster as Rocky comes in, Alex over Holo, which has been starting throughout most of week 5, and then Ruby in the mid lane again, Wako and Pop in the bot.
Now this one, I feel like Holo should get the start just because of the fact that he brings that much more aggressive edge to the squad that I feel like they would want to take against J-Team, because even though it's been very fast games, I feel like this is still one of the slower teams, although you would say Boom has the slowest of game times. And our matchup is going to be in the spot lane, Lil V versus Wako. The matchup's not really about the lane phase, it's more about after the lane phase, because both of these players have been very good when it comes to team fights, but not necessarily the most domineering of laners.
Yeah, we did observe a general decline in the importance of bot laners this split. Bot lane is much more about who can actually rotate to Herald quicker, rather than actually just playing out the lane itself. So I don't think that the lane stats matter as much, but as you mentioned, I think both of them are more sort of scaling AD carries. We see Ziggs a lot with both. We see Ezreal coming out from both sides, and they do tend to just show up in team fights. And for the early game, Pop can roam, Woody can roam.
Yeah,
they're going to be pretty hands-off about the situation.
Yeah, the big numbers are, of course, going to be the DPM and the damage per game, or damage per gold value. They provide a ton of damage for these rosters. They're the main carries when it comes to those later game team fights, because again, Boom definitely takes the game more often than not past the 30-minute mark, and J-Team as well do have a bit of a slower time when it comes to some of these top teams. Not really against some of the lower teams, but minus Boom, they do take their time.
I do like the draft here. J-Team forcing Boom Esports to go a little bit slow. They're taking away all their tempo champs. This is exactly the trend that we've been seeing from week 5.
Yep.
Against Boom Esports, you ban LeBlanc, you ban Varus, and they have to go past for 30 minutes. On the other hand, for Boom Esports, they're taking away the Lee Sin, which probably has caused them a lot of PTSD. Hana had a perfect game against them, and it was Hana's best game of the split. So definitely don't want to give him that Lee Sin. They're taking away Mission's tempo champions, like we mentioned. And J-Team, Okay, they're going for the Ziggs. We did see in the head-to-head Ziggs, a huge champion for both Wako and Lil V.
Yeah, this is a very important champion, and J-Team have shown themselves to first pick this champ quite often, and even more so because of the overlap in that bot champion pool. It does mean that it's going to leave up the Thresh, which leaves also the possibility of something like a Thresh of Philios to give a little bit more late game potential here for the Boom roster, but I expect them to go for something like a jungle pick here to see what they can do. You could definitely go for a Diana, that's still left available.
Okay, that's a very early Victor coming in.
Yeah, so the early Victor pick feels to me like they've practiced bot lane Victor. And this is merely a trap to try and get Mission to show his hand.
I'll be honest, I just don't think you know Ruby. If Ruby's team picks Victor, he's playing it. I see no scenario whatsoever which Victor goes bottom lane. Not when
Victor,
Ruby's on it.
Not a bad pairing with Thresh, to be fair.
Okay, maybe we'll see what happens here, but I'm highly doubtful. Basically, Victor, if you take Victor's mask off, it's actually Ruby's face underneath there. Did you know that part about the lore?
I did not.
That's how synonymous these two champion players are. Yeah, so
I thought it was crowned underneath
it could happen.
Today I learned.
Yeah, it's actually rude. It's actually rude. Well, on the other hand, we do have the Trundle plus Ziggs combo coming out. We've actually seen J-Team run this quite a few times, and it's been very potent to just trap people and force them to walk onto satchel charges.
Yep. It's actually just such an impressive...
Oh, it's actually Trundle. Trundle jungle, excuse me.
Yeah, it's still such an impressive pairing when it comes to some of these mid-game fights or just around the objectives, because you do have the Trundle roaming around. You throw down a pillar and a choke and you immediately satchel charge him back. It's just so oppressive, and especially on blue side, because you do have a lot more choke control around that dragon area, which a lot of these fights are going to be breaking out around. And for the side of Boom, they do go ahead, lock in. They lock in the Philios, which, you know, is a good pairing regardless, and it also means that they've shown their hand. It is going to be Victor going into that mid lane.
Nightstar. Hey, Nightstar. You listening? Nightstar.
Huh?
Nightstar, you listening?
What?
I just want to say, I told you so. There's no way the Victor is going on to anyone else but Ruby. If Ruby's on the team, he's taking Victor 100%. Like, this guy is a Victor one trick. All right, I had my fun now.
I thought he was a Vlad.
We are going to go
into
the second phase of the. I think it says a lot about the state of Vlad when the Vlad one trick actually just puts him in the dumpster and stops playing him. We are going to get a Nocturne though. Very interesting, could still have flex potential. It's been a while since we've seen Nocturne actually come back, especially after the nerfs to lane minions. So slightly more likely in the jungle, but we'll find out what the actual lane goes to. J-Team now, they have to show their solo laners. We did talk about how J-Team does play a more tempo-oriented game against Boom Esports. Their average game time is only 27 minutes against them, so they just kind of speed ran them. But this draft, they are going to go for the Orianna, so much later.
This is a pick that Mission has really started playing a lot more as of late here. I mean, I can see it makes a lot of sense here in the fact that, well, you do have a lot of terrain control, right? You throw down the pillar, there's nowhere to go, then you have to deal with satchel charge and a Orianna ball to try and navigate, and if you don't navigate properly, you're going to get shockwaved. However, it does mean but a rest on this Camille pick is going to be the AD damage for his squad, and over on the side of Boom Esports, it means that you can go ahead and lock in just the most well-known AP drain tank in the game, which is that Mundo. He loves going against AP compositions because he can rush that Spirit Visage. Of course, it's taking a little bit of a hit because of how easy it is to get access to Grievous Wounds. But this is just such a perfect Mundo setup.
All right, so we have the full teams locked in here. J-Team gonna go for a very interesting Camille and Oriana combo here. It seems like there's a lot of AoE on their side, and meanwhile Boom Esports going back to basics, late game scaling, front to back team composition, very solid picks across the board. I also am pretty interested about how they're going to utilize this Nocturne here. But you know, just judging from the draft, I kind of want to get your take here, Nightstar. Who do you think actually came out ahead of the BP phase?
I feel like for this Boom Esports have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to how they want to play. They can play a little bit more towards those side lanes because they do have that Nocturne. They have a Mundo. Depending on how well he performs in lane, that could be another avenue of attack for them. But when it comes to the 5v5s, it's very difficult to see how this Filio gets to ever play the game, because he has so much stuff to navigate. He has to go around the Trundle Pillar, he has to go around the Oriana Ball, he has to go around the Ziggs, the Satchel Charge, and even before that, he also has to dodge the Ziggs Mega Inferno Bomb. So when it comes to these fights, you're looking at him possibly being stuck at 60% even before the fight breaks out. And a lot of it is going to rely on Alex and Rocky being able to plow their way through to that backline to apply pressure, disturb the backline, to then allow Ruby and Wako to get that space to kill the rest of the team.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying here. It's so hard for Aphelios to actually walk up and deal damage here. Like, he can get denied so many different ways. So Boom Esports, even though they looks like they have a very standard front to back, they can't really play it as such. They can't really be focused on just kiting in this sense, as the other team also has the range advantage. We'll see how Boom Esports decides to navigate this one. Very standard composition, but very unstandard combo from the opponent team. As we head on to the Rift, again, these two teams are playing for the stake of 4th place. Now, with 4th place secured, you will get side selection during the first round of playoffs. It might not sound like a lot, but it's definitely still impactful, as we have a bit of a emote war. We're going to disregard that and just take a look at the runes coming in here. Double phase rushes in the mid lane, and we also have the lethal tempo coming out from Alex.
Not too surprising here. What I'm really interested in what Alex will do is whether or not he still goes for the Stride Breaker. Of course, that was kind of the build on him before, but that was also before the big Stride Breaker nerfs. He might end up just going for a Gore Drinker instead, as that would be the better version of the Stride Breaker at the moment. And yeah, like having the Nocturne gives you some options to play 1-3-1 towards the mid game, but when it comes to that late game, it still feels like he's not gonna provide a whole lot.
Hey, you can turn the lights off. That's vision impairment is always a very serious issue to deal with.
They have triple TP, so it does screw them over in that regard.
Taking a little bit of a pause right here. Jungle starts are going to go down from both sides, starting on towards the top, heading toward the bottom. To give a bit of a ganking advantage towards the side of J-Team here.
Yeah.
And,
it does look like Pop and Wako are going to look to get a little bit aggressive here, about to hit level 2. And yeah, they're going to be able to zone J-Team off of this wave. Woody and Lil V tried to go aggressive during that level 1, try and get control of the wave, but in the end, not able to trade enough health because of the fact that you have that extra potion on the Vilios. He's going to be able to sustain a lot better. They're going to be able to get level 2 comfortably. However,
very cheesy gank coming in from Hana right here. Gets the slowdown before the pillar even uses, but drops the pillar early. That should have 100% been a kill, but Hana well, he definitely fat fingered that one.
Yeah, he definitely fumbled that gank there, and it means that Alex, he can continue to just farm up still, as that's one of the big concerns. Actually, he's just going to walk. I don't know what he's looking for here.
Mission doesn't have a flash,
I'm
neither
confused.
does Hana, but I don't think they're going to fall for this one, as they do have full vision of him.
Oh, he has to
Still a
finish it
decent win
before...
for Alex if he gets this one.
Okay. But he's trapped now. Okay.
Oh, good spell shield. And now
Good
Pop
spell shield.
is going to miss the hook.
Whiff,
Okay.
but teleport's coming in. That's rest.
Double TPs with a double flay coming in here, and the fight is ongoing. Mission, the first one to fall. Rocky is going to zone in onto Hana, who has nowhere to go. And that's a full-on collapse from the side of J-Team. They have to get out of here.
And that was such a great fight coming in from Boom Esports. When you expend the teleports, you're going to favor the team that doesn't necessarily need as many items. And, well, when you're comparing Camille and Mundo's perfectly fine fighting without items, and the Camille is really just a stun bot when she comes in pre-6. And that's exactly what happens here. Pop gets a beautiful flash, 3-man play, stays alive, so he's able to get that lantern to escort his jungler out, and then they also collapse on Hana, who's just trapped in the pit. That's a 2-for-0, gets them to a 1,000 gold lead. More importantly, Alex can continue to keep farming very, very comfortably. Hana's impact, because he doesn't have flash anymore, it's going to be even harder for him to take advantage of this Trundle's early game.
Yeah, that was a really painful chain of events coming in from J-Team. I honestly feel like if Hana, they got the first kill there, none of the other stuff would have happened.
Yeah.
They should have 100% got the kill on Ruby. Like, if you get the slowdown on Trundle before the flash, you should be saving the pillar to knock them back after the flash. But I don't know why he used it so early, and you know, that led to a whole cascade of events where Pop was able to call them out, and unfortunately Woody's engage was nullified. So now we have Boom Esports heading towards level 6, where, you know, Nocturne is going to be a lot more impactful. Hana is spotted out here. Let's see if they have a response.
Know that there's an invade coming in, and it's just a matter of how they deal with Hana and Woody here.
Well, does seem like Ruby might be coming in for the collapse, but it still would be a 3v2. Meanwhile, Pop has made his way into his own jungle as well.
So
waiting
for
like
this
both teams
blue
are trying
buff
to bait
start.
each other.
Oh,
Hana goes in, finds a spell shield. That's just going to be the straight up
And
disengage. And I think the fight should end without Pop finding a hook. Yep, that doesn't go down.
a whole lot of
positioning from
posturing.
either side.
A whole lot of posturing, but not a lot of end result at the moment, as Alex will spot out that control word, which means that he's just going to go ahead and walk away. But the collapse coming in, Ruby knows full knowledge of where
great
they
killer.
are.
Ruby with no flash should just be going down here, and he pokes a little bit too far forward into the ramp. This time around, Hana definitely redeeming himself as Wako tries to come in for a kill. He does have the Gravitum. See if he's going to use it. We'll pop it right now. Shendo's going down. Chakram's flash into the kill onto Mission, and they find another hook, but the play doesn't have enough range. So Wako does pick that one up at the end, but at the cost of his own flash on that one.
Definitely a very odd play. I don't think Mission expected the 80 carry roam coming in from the Raptor area, as that's not usually what you see from an 80 carry, but that's where Wako comes, and he's able to secure the kill at the very least, gets that extra gold. However, he's going to have to be careful, because at level 6 for this bot lane, that's when things get really scary. The Ziggs Leona burst damage is immense. And hopefully, well, I really hope he took double magic resistance runes.
Yeah, we'll see if he went for that one. I'm kind of doubtful, but
he didn't.
Yeah, He definitely didn't. Wako trying to push this one in. He is level 6, and I have to commend Wako for that roam. Like, it was very difficult to predict there, as he only had 10, like, he had less than 20 ammo left on the Gravitum. So to pull that play off without Moonlight Vigil, as you said, Mission definitely didn't see that one coming. Now Boom Esports, they do have a bit of a lead in terms of tempo getting towards this Herald. Pop already making his way halfway across the map to this position. The jungler isn't there for J-Team, so Boom Esports should just get this one completely uncontested.
Yeah, more importantly, there's level 6 on Nocturne, while Hana doesn't have 6 on his Trundle quite yet, which means if they decide to poke their head into that area, they could definitely get immediately turned on and picked before the fight even gets to break out. That will be Rift Herald going into the hands of Alex, and now the next objective is, of course, that Dragon, which the side of J-Team do have priority onto. And it just comes down to, well, for Boom, how do they take advantage of this Rift Herald to further push their gold advantage?
So far, all of their lanes are actually in pretty good states. I would say all of them are winning, actually. So, no, with lane priority in all 3 lanes, any lane really is possible here, and I'm not exactly sure which one they will go for. On the flip side for J-Team, it feels like they are relegated to a more scaling game, and that's definitely bad news for Hana. Like, Trundle scaling doesn't really go together. So we'll see how they try to keep close. At least they don't have Drake pressure.
Yeah, that is very true. So they should reliably be able to stall things out to a certain degree when it comes to having the Drake Soul be that win condition. However, for the side of Boom Esports, I'd like to have a little bit more focus up into that top side. Get Rocky snowballed here, because as the Mundo, yes, you are a tank, but you're more of a juggernaut rather than straight up tank, because you do so much damage. But also towards the later portions of the game, because of how much terrain control is up on the side of J-Team, it's very hard to find impact later in the game because of the subjugate and all the things you have to walk around.
We do have a cross-map situation developing, with Boom Esports potentially going for the 4v2 dive bot, and Hana plus Resk going for Rocky. Rocky will flash out and pop his ultimate, staying incredibly safe here. Knew that he was in danger of the Hextech ultimatum, is just gonna make sure he gets out completely free. On the other hand, we also had a, I believe that was a, it wasn't a Scryer, but we did have J-Team actually spotting out the roam towards the bot side, and Boom Esports just called that one off.
Nice little spot there. And really the only big gap here in the game is, of course, those 2 kills, but also just the fact that Alex is 20 CS ahead of this Trundle, which makes a lot of sense. The Trundle's not built to farm unless that he goes for an early Tiamat, which I haven't seen in a very long time, and I don't think we will.
I miss that build so much. You don't even know.
It was kind of fun. It was definitely fun to play, just because of it made this champion that literally just only runs up and down the river. You know, every once in a while you can take some raptor camps, but now it's just really running back up the river and recall, and then you go run back up and down the river again.
J-Team are playing this one incredibly slow, and so is Boom Esports. Both of these teams seem like... Yeah, we are in for the long haul, I think. I haven't seen a single Paranoia this game just yet. We have seen multiple attempts by Boom Esports to maybe crack this bot side open. They have gone there 4v2 twice now. Unfortunately, J-Team, pretty good defenses here. Been able to clear out this river ward multiple times, and yeah, I just don't... Technically, I think Boom Esports should be the one starting the action, especially with the Nocturne. But just haven't seen it yet.
Rift Herald's about to time.
Great Spidey senses.
Oh no. Okay. He throws it down, but that's not the optimal place to play it there.
We do have the flash in from Pop catching out. Mission Chaos Storm goes down too. Paranoia there. He's definitely going to die, but unfortunately for Alex, doesn't pick up an assist.
What do you know? It's
still
perfect.
Fine.
was perfect placement right there. They knew they were going to get the paranoia kill onto Mission. That's why they preemptively put the Rift Herald down. It definitely wasn't because of the fact that Alex was about to lose Rift Herald in like 2 seconds before he threw it down, but yeah, I still would have liked to see it go top lane, just because it helps get Rocky snowballed and opens up that lane and allows him to start roaming around. But it ends up going mid, and they still get a good chunk of gold. Just you know, a man can dream.
Yeah, and we saw the rotations for J-Team. They also lost 2 tower plates in the bottom lane as Lil V had to go up there and try to wave clear. So very unfortunate for J-Team to lose that amount of gold here. We could see the pings here. J-Team definitely expected something was going to happen because the Herald had to be dropped. But unfortunately for Mission, he still goes a little bit too far. This is not the best of pathing from him. Pop uses his abilities great. Just comes in with the easy pickup kill.
Yeah, and it was really just great roam from Pop, and also a fantastic ward coming over the wall to allow Alex to then go ahead and snipe down Mission. They'll go ahead and also snag themselves their first dragon here, as it will be Inferno Rift. Inferno Rift, fantastic for them, for the side of Boom, because not only is it extra damage, but remember, their main problems is trying to navigate around this terrain, and what do you know? Inferno Rift gives you a little bit more terrain not to interact with, and opens things up a lot.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes for them in team fights. Technically, it should allow them to, you know, have different approach angles onto Ziggs and Orianna, so very important. Especially when you have divers on the team. Meanwhile, we did get a graph where Boom Esports now has 5 turret platings compared to 0 from J-Team. So J-Team really finding it quite tough to get on the board. Woody has a great position, but is going to get spotted out. And the full 8-man scramble is going to happen right here. Pop goes a little bit wide, Solar Flare down, and they are opening up on this Thresh. Bishop does find him immediately. Alex dives way too deep, gets cleaned up easily by Rest, and that's going to be J-Team all the way.
That was just a straight 4v4 fight, and J-Team, they're the ones that managed to come out ahead, surprisingly. And I'm actually really surprised. It really just comes down to the fact that Alex, he forces the dive play in the side of J-Team. They immediately turn their attention onto Alex. As you see right there, the moment he jumps in, well, Pop's already dead, so they don't have to turn their attention to keep on moving forward. They can just peel back, finish off the squishy Nocturne, and that means they get a 2-for-0 with a Rift Herald. Nice big swing for the side of J-Team. They're still down 2k gold, but the potential is definitely there for them to get 2 towers with this Ziggs.
No crowd control in that fight for Boom Esports. Once the hook went wide, that was it. They couldn't focus down any target. Wako is going to open up onto Lil V with a beautiful combo of guns. Force the flash out. You got to run from those chakrams. They kill a lot of damage when stacked up with the onslaught there. We're about to get out, and we do see Wako still having a very good lead in this bottom lane. I do expect Boom Esports to be taking down this tower quite quickly and open the map up. You know, even though J-Team does have the Herald, they are still in a rather dire situation in this fight. Ana again trying to find a gank onto Rocky. Rocky is immune to immobile abilities. He's going to stay relatively fine, though. It does take a big chunk of damage, especially from his own passive. Oh, and we do have the full-on combo going on to Wako, but Paranoia is there. Boom Esports do find the first kill. Hextech ultimatum into the top side. Rocky gets subjugated. Hana walks away. 1 tower shot away from death, but will survive. And they are going to get the top lane tower.
They might even be able to get 2 with how fast that they are taking this first one and how much damage they do have onto the Camille, but it does look like Victor is making his rotation over, so it will just be the 1. Unfortunately, unable to get that. Okay, Ruby. He's got flash.
He's trying. He's got the speed up from the Q as well, but misses the death ray. In comes the TP, the Ruby special. Well, let's see if he, no, he's dead. That was very Ruby. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely a very Ruby-esque play there. As we're going to see how the dive happens once more ults are popped onto Rocky, which means that once they go in, he's got no regen left. And this is the nice things about having a Trundle on the team, is that you can make dives against tanks possible because of the ability to strip away their resistances, and it pays dividends right then and there.
Really nice find into the top side. I don't think it changes things as much, but we might be seeing Rest now winning out in the side lane. We'll keep close attention to that, see if that's actually the case. He does have the level lead. Now BME Sports have changed up the rotations as well, going into the 1-3-1 mode. Everyone funneling in for the Infernal Drake. Definitely the most contested of the souls here. Alex does have the Paranoia, and there's a lot of catching potential coming out here from BME Sports. So I feel like J-Team, they have to respond and be very grouped up together.
And the big thing here of note is the fact that everyone has pretty much built up their first mythic, but more importantly, Wako, he's got a collector in his build, so the pop-up potential is
they find a mission amongst the trees and kill him instantly. Hana also going incredibly low as the pillar will disengage, but BME Sports find their mark and should be taking away as Ruby goes in once again. Ruby, what are you doing? No, Ruby! He just dies for nothing, but they do find Willie on the back end. A huge Moonlight Vigil catches 3! Can they finish up on the kills? That's going to be a double for Alex on one side. Proper president. Pop is just amazing this game. I can't believe he found mission there.
Oh, wild play coming in from a Pop. He gets the hook, but he also manages to find a beautiful lantern play. All around well done from the support from BME Sports. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. All right, Clement?
Okay.
Let's
ready.
talk about that Ruby play. My oh my.
It ended up working. That's all I'm saying, okay?
Oh, he curved the bullet. Oh. And then, like, right when that happens, they know that the side of J-Team, they're pretty much on the back foot, and because of that, well, Nocturne goes in to create more chaos. However, Ruby didn't get the memo that they were going towards Dragon. However, fortunately, Wako's there to pick up the pieces. And they just run away with that fight. Rather than going 1 in a Dragon, they end up getting 3 for 1 in a Dragon.
Yeah, I feel like whenever Ruby's playing Victor, he kind of gets a little bit cray-cray in the head. I mean, we have seen this multiple times for him, so hopefully he can, mellow out a little bit. BME Sports still with a sizable lead. They are heading towards the Baron at this point. And unfortunately for Mission, this is also something we've seen from him a couple times. Russ is going to try and get a duel with Rocky, gets the slowdown, accident ultimatum popped directly, and the true damage is hurting very much as Rocky tries to run away. He's about 1 hit from dying. The hook shot will land. He tries to get his passive, and he does manage to get the heal, but it doesn't matter. Tactical Sweep finds him on the end, catches it on the edge, and Rest, well, I guess our questions have been answered. Mundo, you can't really go up against a duelist.
Yeah, especially when there's just so much true damage packed into the Camille kit, along with the Ignite, of course, reducing the healing on his ultimate. That's why, even though Mundo, it feels like he's such a great stat stick, he's still relatively limited in what he can do the moment he gets ignited, or the moment when the other team starts buying Grievous Wounds. You just don't have enough regen or enough defensive stats to just be that tank. You're much more of that juggernaut than people might think.
Yeah, we see him armor stacking, as you mentioned, but Precision Protocol don't care about your armor, so
yeah,
he's still finding it hard, and I do think that gives J-Team a lot of different chances to drag this game out. We have seen what a late game Ziggs can do against Nephelios, so very dangerous stuff. And Boom Esports trying to find a pick onto Woody. I'd be very scared if Pop is running towards me. I'd back out immediately. And I think this game's fairly interesting because we don't really actually see a lot of engage from Paranoia. Boom Esports are simply relying on the fact that Pop is a Thrush God. That's all the engage they need.
And thankfully he does also have now the Shurelia's Reverie, so he's going to get that extra bit of move speed to help him out, try and close the gap. Also helps out his squad whenever he tosses out that lantern, gives them that extra bit of move speed to get to the lantern. And now they've wholeheartedly decided, hey, you know, we probably don't want to be stuck in that 1v1 anymore. Let's try and figure out a way to get him out of that very unfortunate matchup at the moment and try and make some sort of team play. But it means that Camille gets free time. Look at her items. She's got the Divine Thunder. She has the Steric. She's going to be building towards that Tiamat item, whether it is the Titanic or the Ravenous. Both are going to be absolutely monumental for her once she completes that item. And I feel like they should have given Rocky some Nocturne attention to try and slow down this Camille early on.
Yeah, well, I think it's a little bit too late for that now. It's definitely not going to be happening soon. I do want to touch on the item builds, especially from the Mundo. You know, we did talk about potentially Gore Drinker coming out, but we do have just a full tank frontline coming in from Rocky and Alex, and I do want to get your take on this. What do you think about the itemizations here? It seems like they're just setting up for front and back, maybe?
Yeah, it did feel like one of the big questions was, okay, Ruby is pinned.
We do have the Paranoia. I'm sorry to cut you off right there. Bad timing on the questions. Hana does get a great pillar down. Pop has to use his Dark Passage. Now the teams are going to be fighting over the second Infernal. Hana's already popped down his extra speed boost.
Ruby has a creative
angle. Ruby is waiting in the sidelines to just pop out. He is going to get found, but that's an interesting one as no one really follows up outside of Lil V. He does get the Honey Fruit, and he's just back in the fight. So 2 ultimates down, Rest goes in, and instantly pops back out, but he does get the box away. As Hana doesn't get the smite, it will be Alex finding the second Infernal. Now
gotta get out.
are on the wrong side of the map, but they deal massive damage. The entire backline is just destroyed, and Wako gets Mission out of nowhere. Mission doesn't even get to do anything in that fight. That's just 200 here and straight up Sniper 360 no scope. Where did he go?
And he just absolutely evaporates,
another blast away from Lil V as
now
Pop finds the Death Sense over the wall. Lil V gets another kill on the back line, but he can't get away from Rocky. He's gonna die to the defibrillator, and Boom Esports walk away with 4 kills to none.
Boom Esports absolutely.
1, excuse me.
They absolutely ran away with that one. They get the dragon. Somehow they win the 50-50 there. Alex holds his cool even with a low health bar, and the rest of J-Team just barreling at the dragon. And Rest, he tries to create some space by making this play here, and it did for a brief moment. And I mean, it was a very solid shockwave. It was just they end up trying to capitalize on that damage, and the turn was just there.
Oh, it's so disgusting that he actually just died to the red buff in the end. Very unfortunate for Mission, not able to do a lot there. It does get the shockwave, but that's about it. And okay, Ruby. Okay, Ruby. That's good.
Get him, Ruby.
I can tell you're a Ruby fan.
Oh my lord, Ruby, this aggressive play, you know, reminds me of another Korean player. You know, Mickey? You remember Mickey? Yeah, it's been a while.
A long time.
But my most memorable play was him quirky packaging into 5 members by himself randomly.
Oh, you still want to see that? You can watch Scout. He does that all the time. Yeah, you still want another Korean player to see that happen. We're going to get a bit of a tussle here. Boom Esports do force the TP from Rest. Bit of a good win there.
Very, very big win. And because now if Boom wants to, they do have the avenue to throw Rocky into a side lane because they know they'll have him being able to respond to a cross-map play a lot better, but they're going to turn straight on to Baron. We'll see how they respond.
Not sure about this start. Hana does get stuck in the middle of the river. He's going to go down. Multiple crowd controls landing on him. Boom Esports with a great turn and the paranoia to confuse J-Team. J-Team aren't able to respond fast enough to save their jungler, but they will dissuade Boom Esports from finishing up on the Baron.
I mean, they stopped the Baron, but the Baron doesn't really matter here because Boom, they have a 5,000 gold lead, and more importantly, they have 3 dragons to their name. So in 100 seconds, the side of J-Team do have to go towards this dragon to try and contest for Soul, which also means he has to group up earlier rather than later because, again, he doesn't have that teleport. He has to be there in person. And the big question will be, well, do they end up throwing Mission or Lil V in one of these side lanes because they do have the teleports? But if that's the case, then Mundo can kind of just dog them down. That also provides issues for the side of J-Team.
So if J-Team want to come back here, what do you need to see them do? Split objectives, and it seems like Boom Esports are just going to straight up force once more. It worked the first time, why not the second?
They're stuck in the pit, though.
Yeah, and Russ does have to take a very long trek here. Paranoia goes down. It will be a single play onto the support. Hana being opened up onto Paranoia, straight onto Mission. That's a great 4-man ultimate coming in from Lil V, but not enough to save his jungler. Rocky going a little bit low. Ignite goes down, and they do find the Zenith Blade, but what he does is get the kill before himself dies. Then they're going still onto the backline. Ruby about to drop, but survives. And Wako is going to pick up the pieces with the triple kill already. He's hunting for more blood. Lil V, a very half-hearted attempt at putting some poke down. He has to scurry away. And now you have the Drake up.
Dragon up. They are able to claim that Baron buff as well. And then look at the level gap in these 80 carries. You not only have a massive item differential, you also have a 3-level differential here. As we're going to see the replay, this is where the Mega Inferno Bomb should have just come in just to get poke damage, because again, you have the Baron Shred coming down. They're losing magic resistance, but they're a little bit hesitant when it comes to pulling the trigger right then and there, and as a result, they end up overextending themselves. This is a much better kite back composition than a chase comp coming in from J-Team. And the side of Boom, they're perfectly happy with that result because that allows them to just turn the tables very easily.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It felt like J-Team actually had a lot more chances than they gave themselves credit for just forcing Boom Esports to all into the pit and then layer down all of the area of control abilities. Like, you pillar them into the pit, you Hextech ultimatum, knock everyone back, and you just have like a shooting range. But unfortunately, J-Team not able to get into the river in time. Boom Esports now with the Infernal, so there is going to be another start. They're opening up onto Ruby. They get him right off the start. And now Paranoia from Alex is going to fly in back onto Mission, but he is going in on a 1v3 of a suicide mission. Does stay alive. Rest comes in on the back lane, but he doesn't find Wako. He's going in onto Pop. Lil V does get 2 champions at the end, so it should stave off this attempt from Boom Esports, but it's getting really close. Wako still does have that Infernal Soul, and he just one-shots Mission. Goodbye, Oriana. Wako once again not giving Mission any chances in a 2v3. He wants to close this out. He might just be able to do it. 200 HP on Lil V, and Wako is a monster. He is the raid boss this game. J-Team, you will woe the day that you didn't use Hextech Ultimatum on Wako.
Oh my lord, this man is full 200 years online. He almost has that completed GA as well. He still has a stopwatch. He might just hold on to it and just keep it as a stopwatch to have that extra use in a fight. But as we see the replay, I mean, yes, you burst down Ruby, but also you end up using the shockwave onto Ruby. And at this point, yes, Ruby is a scary threat, but you need to allocate cooldowns onto this terrifying menace known as Aphelios, as he just goes to town, takes absolutely no damage through all of that until the very end.
This is unfair. Look at
and this is the play. Boom!
It's half HP!
That was like 800 damage.
What? He's 800. He's half HP with Zhonya's. How is that fair? You remember we were talking about how it would be difficult for Wako to walk up against an Orianna Trundle? I guess when you're this fed, it really doesn't matter because you one-shot the Orianna anyway. Rest going in now. They do find Wako, but he's able to cleanse out instantly and still take the Dark Passage. Great fingers there. Boom Esports are going to resume this push. They're waiting on the minion wave. Pop in the wings.
Taking things slow. 8k gold lead. They still have Inferno Soul, so they can afford to kind of just go for a bit of a home war. They will be able to whittle them down, get that next tower down. Now it looks like they want in.
Yeah, Hana going very low already. Pop trying to land the hook onto Woody. Nearly dies for it. Has to flash out, so that should be the push. And now Rest sends his blood in the water. He's going to go in. Oh, Rocky's still going to stay alive for a long time. You have the Moonlight Vigil. Not really landing. Hook shot onto one. And then Mission finds a two-man, so they finally do take out the front line. A lot of members going super low in the back. Ruby looks like he's going to clean this one up, but no, Aphelios goes down. Another great find onto Rest. Oh, that was so close from him just dying because of the Infernal Soul tick. He's going to stay alive, and it seemed like Boom Esports bit off a little bit more than they could chew.
And more importantly, for the side of J-Team, they're able to hold on to both of their Nexus towers. And remember, when we talked about this composition just plays so much better when you get to control the terrain, you get to be more patient and play things slow, play more a kite-back play style. You saw it pay off there. The side of Boom, they end up overextending just a little bit. They get Pop chipped down incredibly low, and that's when they're able to start turning things around. And you see there that, like, Rocky, he's not a front line. He really isn't that juggernaut or that big beefy tank that you want in front of the rest of the team. He's just kind of he's kind of like a figurine.
Yeah, he
doesn't actually hold a lot of
damage from Rest there.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden J-Team, they're actually looking at this Baron. They're going to be able to control the terrain. And how did Boom get back in here?
Lil V is going to start sending some bouncing bombs towards the ramp. It looks like J-Team have half a mind to turn, but they still want to stick onto the Baron. Wako could deal massive amounts of damage right here, and we see the Infernal Soul tick. Hana going outside of the pit. This will be the disengage from J-Team, but in we go! The flash and burst damage from Ruby kills Woody right off the bat. Rest coming in to save the day, though. He does find Wako, but Wako stands his ground and just guns him down. J-Team are on the run. With only 2 members left onto the top side, can they find themselves back to safety? It looks like they will try to do base defense as Wako is just heading down there. Alex heading very slowly in. Doesn't find the auto attack onto Mission, but Hana is left to his own devices. He's still trying to get away as fast as possible.
Wako's trying to end the game.
The base, and here comes the TPs. Mission has to play this 1v2. He doesn't have the shockwave, and Wako is just gonna continue on his rampage, taking down the Nexus like that. Boom Esports secured the 4th place in the PCS postseason.
And they don't end up having to show a whole lot here. These are all pretty standard picks. Even the Victor, like, yes, it's a bit off meta, but it is Ruby. So all things considered, it was a very, very good victory for Boom. You secure yourself the higher seed to get side selection, and you also don't have to showcase any of your hitting cards. So, well, very, very well done from them.
Yeah, this is a little bit unfortunate for J-Team. We did talk about how the in the regular season, J-Team actually swept Boom Esports 2-0, and frankly, it wasn't even close, but once we saw J-Team actually go for a very late game strategy, I just don't feel like they know when to get back agency with compositions like that. And I also felt like Mission was very underwhelming this game. Like, early flash in, no kill. To be fair, that was more on Hana than anyone else. And then in critical team fights, you just get one shot over and over again. Like, that was 3 team fights, crucial team fights in the game, where Mission, he got his shockwave off, but that's it. Like, he didn't do anything other than that. Got one shot by Wako twice, and then Pop just killed him out of nowhere once. So I'm not sure about Mission on Orianna, man. This is it's been a trend this split, but his control mages do not look as good as his tempo champions.
I think that's also just Orianna right now in the game. Yes, the mage buffs have come through, which have helped out mages, but the fact of the matter is, if you're playing Orianna, you want those 3 or 4 items. You want more items than the game really allows you to. The game's mostly about 1 and 2 items at the moment. And Mission, like, yes, he landed a couple multi-man shockwaves, but where was the damage? Where was the actual punishment for overstepping your bounds? It was really just trying to create as much utility with terrain control. But again, because of the fact that you have a Ziggs, your opponent is incentivized to build magic resistance, whether or not it's through the runes or through the items, which means it's not 3 or 2 or 3 items, it's 3 or 4 items before she actually comes online.
Yeah, they definitely needed to get the Void Staff before being able to contest Boom Esports in that fight. But we have to reiterate that this tiebreaker doesn't really hold the same amount of stakes compared to the rest of the tiebreaker. This is only for, it is for seeding, but it is only for side selection going into it. So J-Team, you know, they didn't show many cards. What they showed was not their strongest set of cards, I would say. Taking a look at the game graph, Boom Esports won early on after the skirmish. Pop was an absolute god in all of these Drake fights. They get the Infernal. That was pretty much lights out for JT.
Yeah, it really was just that Inferno fight or the Baron fight before the Inferno, where things just got out of control. You get the Baron buff onto this squad, you also are able to secure Inferno Soul, and that is just it. Even though you do have decent damage with an Orianna Ziggs and the Leon to help with that burst damage, you're just so magic damage heavy that the side of Boom Esports, all they have to do is play around those conditions.
Yeah, it didn't really feel like there was any chance for J-Team in those later game team fights. No surprises, Wako does get the MVP, 11-1-6. He not only outdamaged the Lil V, I felt like he was just by himself, worth more than all of the bottom side carries coming out from J-Team. 73% kill participation, 36% of his team damage, and look at that gold lead at the end. I'm not sure Zig's first pick is actually that much worth it over Aphelios. Still feels like Aphelios is the king of DPS.
Aphelios is definitely better in that bot lane matchup, but again, like the Ziggs gives you other options in the draft. J-Team just never took advantage of it. You're looking at something more aggressive, maybe like a Yone or a Yasuo, but then they go for, they have a Trundle, which is all about the early game, but then they pick a scaling mid laner. I feel like this synergy between that mid jungle just really spelled the end of it.
Yeah, they definitely couldn't hang on until the later games like we talked about they might have wanted to. So unfortunately, J-Team will have to settle for 5th as Boom Esports go on to 4th. But don't go anywhere. We still have one more tiebreaker left today, and it will be the most important one for 2nd place. A playoff bye on the line between Machi Esports and Megabank Beyond Gaming.